oftentimes are not either aware of or don't think about too often, or we think about it once a year when we come to the brunch. There are educational types of efforts being made to educate people, educate our young, look at the curricula that is being presented in schools, what to look for, what the agenda seems to be in our education programs, public education specifically, and then the help that we provide people of all ages. One of the more looming areas from my standpoint is, because of my age, etc., is euthanasia or any of those end-of-life directives. What should we do when we are asked at a healthcare facility whether we have any healthcare directives or do we have any kind of forms that we should fill out? Should we be signing on the bottom line in a lot of these cases? We should be informed individuals, and we should teach other people in our families, our friends, etc., to be informed along those lines. You are being barraged every time you go to the Department of Motor Vehicles to determine whether you're going to be an organ donor. In order to be a heart organ donor, they have to kill you. They do not take a heart from a cadaver. So they have to end your life in order to harvest the organs. The only organs that you can legitimately transfer or donate, etc., are any organs that you have two of, because you can live without one of them. So keep those things in mind, and these are the types of things that we have to make people aware of. These are pro-life issues, because without the knowledge of those things, we become susceptible to a lot of people out there who are willing and able to take our lives. So pro-life goes more than just to the child, the baby that's not born yet. Pro-life is an across-the-board type of situation. Let's become aware of all of those things, and this morning's presentations are an effort to show us or to bring us up to date on what is going on. So without any further ado, I'm going to call on our first presenter this morning, Jenny Pratt from ABBA Pregnancy Center in Portland. Jenny.
Good morning. I am with ABBA. I've been with them for over 11 years, and I started as a volunteer client advocate, and then moved on to a facilitator for a post-abortion program. I came on staff as the office manager about 4 years ago, and then center director, and now I am currently the executive director. Judy Cushing, who is the founder of ABBA, retired after 15 years. So I have pretty big shoes to fill. However, I feel that God has called me for such a time as this. We are a Christian crisis pregnancy center in the greater Portland, Cumberland County area. And we are on the front line of the pro-life movement. Each day as we meet with girls and women who are facing issues surrounding unplanned pregnancy. ABBA was the first affiliated and certified center in the state providing the medical services of limited obstetrical ultrasound to confirm a viable pregnancy, and now limited testing and STD treatments. ABBA follows the medical guidelines of our affiliates, which are CareNet, Heartbeat International, and the National Institute of Family Life Advocates, which call for excellence in meeting a standard of care to our patients. So likewise, our client advocates are now certified by the American Association of Christian Counselors. As a nonprofit agency, all of ABBA's services are free and confidential within the limits of the state law. All 9 of our programs, at the core of them, are our options counseling, which is working with those who have already had their pregnancies medically confirmed and they're conflicted with what options that they should take in their particular situations. So often talking with our client advocates who can provide accurate information in a non-judgmental but yet life-affirming environment. That allows the girl or the woman to explore her options without any pressure. Further, we have our medical program. This includes our obstetrical ultrasound imaging to confirm a viable pregnancy, and her vision to see the personhood and the existence of life in her unborn baby. Medical centers like ABBA see over a 90% conversion rate from those seeking or vulnerable to choosing abortion, to deciding not to abort for precious little ones. So for those moms who decide that they want to parent their babies, we have our Parenting Skills Learn and Earn program, where the moms will attend the classes on healthy pregnancies, labor and delivery, the care of the infants, and other parenting skills. And ABBA also offers for the very young mom a TAP program, and that's our Teen Accountability Pregnancy and Parenting Program. So that's especially designed to meet their unique needs. Also, ABBA offers our Moms Mentoring Program called Mom Check, and that's for our single moms. Excuse me. For those women who have chosen abortion in the past and they now regret their decision, and I've been privileged and honored to be a part of this, ABBA has a Forgiven and Set Free abortion recovery program, and that's offered in a sensitive one-on-one or group setting. And for those girls and women seeking to find healthy relationships, we have our Sexual Integrity Program, and that along with the STD treatment and testing. We also have our Treasured Time for the perinatal support group when they get an adverse diagnosis from their doctor. And last but not least, we have a Spiritual Exploration Program, and that helps to reconnect or introduce the girls to the Lord. And ABBA's motto is to speak the truth in love, and that is exactly what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. The next presenter is for Alcuin Academy, and we are going to call on Paul's wife.
You forgot. You forgot to say his better half.
Amen.
Pull the mic down. Pull the mic down.
What's that?
Pull the mic down.
Pull the mic down.
That was good.
How's that?
That's better.
Okay, so unfortunately Paul had forgotten that it was today. He thought it was next week, so he already had made other plans and he couldn't, cancel. But he did want me to send his apologies for not being here to honor all those who have worked so hard for the pro-life movement. You are all heroes, and you all deserve a round of applause. Thank you so much for your hard work. In the past, we have worked many years for pro-life organizations as well, but we've kind of steered away from it only because of what I'm going to tell you about. I'm here today to talk about a different type of pro-life work, as Pat had mentioned. I'm here to talk about our youth, our future. Most of today's youth are so absorbed in new clothes, sports, iPhones, iPads, tablets, video games, goes on and on and on, that they hardly pay attention to any real serious issues, like making the right choices, making moral choices, making lifelong lasting choices that will lead them into a world of truth, goodness, and beauty. Although parochial schools tend to be a bit better than public schools, lots of parents in Maine have turned away from them because of the lack of Catholicism, true Catholicism, and turned to homeschooling. I was one of those homeschoolers for 21 years because I wanted to save my children's soul more than I want them to be popular, to be in sports, to be in the honor society, to be cool. But it sure got a little harder when high school came. How many times I had wished that there had been good schools I could send them to. A school that could help us, as parents, help them form good moral characters and great souls for God. but unfortunately there was none. That's why I'm here today to tell you about a great classical school taught in the Catholic tradition located in Lewiston. Alcuin Academy was formed 5 years ago so that we could help parents achieve the very best for their kids, both in here and in here.
Come on.
And we at Alcuin are true to the magisterium. Classical education depends on a three-part process of training the mind, and in Alcuin's case, the soul, with truth. The early years of school are spent in absorbing facts, systematically laying the foundations for advanced study. In middle grades, students learn to think through arguments founded in truth. In the high school years, they learn to express themselves eloquently, again, basing their facts on, guess what? The truth. Only when our children are exposed to the real truth, the truth of our loving God, and all the wonderful things He has in store for us, can they fully form a great conscience that is life-giving. At Alcuin, we've seen our students blossom from shy, quiet students who already had the moral fiber that their parents taught them, to students who are better equipped to argue what is right and wrong and know why. Students who are well on their way to knowing how to express themselves among their peers and other adults. I could go on and on what Alcuin has to offer, but Michelle has already given me the evil eye. So let me conclude by saying that Alcuin Academy's doors are always open. Homeschooling moms, homeschooling grandmoms, take a break from having to keep up with your junior high and high school classes. Send them to Alcuin. You'll be glad they came. Please help yourself to brochures that we have over here at the table. Check us out on our website, email us, or see me anytime. And oh, as a last thing, and for those of you who go to hands around the Capitol, you'll see our students there. And God willing, they will also take part in the March for Life this year in Washington, D.C. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you very much, Susan. Our next presenters are Helping Hand Ministry, and that I'm going to call on Mike and Pauline Heath, please. Pauline Heath.
Good morning.
Morning.
I want to start by reading the words of Jesus, just a couple sentences. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven, for in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. And it was my honor to represent the Christian Civic League of Maine for many years, 20 years to be exact, on primarily the issue of sodomy. And we failed in our effort to persuade the public to agree with us that it ought to be seen as morally wrong. And of course, Maine now accepts the whole agenda legally. I went on from the Christian Civic League in 2009 to form Helping Hands Ministry, and with my wife at my side, we've traveled the world to Africa, Tanzania, to work with poor Africans there, and we're headed in late October to Guatemala to work with folks who are in extreme poverty, living actually off the pickings from the Guatemala City dump, which is the largest dump in Central America. We're going to be there for a couple of weeks in late October, and we would covet your prayers. I also am representing a ministry called Exodus Mandate, which is a national ministry encouraging Christian parents to do what my heroes Paul and Susan Medore did, which is to make the courageous and difficult sacrifice or choice to sacrifice and educate their children at home in a thoroughly Christian context. Also, private Christian schools, we support those. I'm the representative for Exodus Mandate in the 6 New England states. And lastly, I want to mention, well, not lastly, very quickly mention my wife, who is a singer-songwriter. We have a number of brochures over here on the table to my left. I hope you'll stop by and say hi and pick one up. There's one about my wife who has produced 6 Christian musical CDs. And lastly, I want to mention Scott Lively, who has become public enemy #1, not just in the United States, but around the globe. You may have noticed that the West has become, in the globe, on the earth, the most vocal and aggressive advocate for sodomy on the planet. And Scott Lively stands up in the name of Jesus and says no to that. He went to Uganda and, while preaching the gospel, addressed this issue and was sued by a very powerful law firm in New York City a few years ago for crimes against humanity. And they won. And he has now recently, this week, been listed publicly by the Human Rights Campaign, which is the most powerful institutionalized force in favor of that immoral evil. He has been named as the guy that they would like to get rid of the most. And he has now stopped publishing